Today we're going to spend a few minutes talking about fearless love, what that looks like. And I want to begin with the question of what are some things that you've been afraid of, fearful of lately? Maybe it's recent, or maybe it's something you've had fears of for a long time. What are those fears? Perhaps it's, in where we're at right now, all the rain and the storms and the flooding and the high winds and the tornadoes that have been in this area. Maybe that's bringing fear to people. Maybe you're one of those individuals when you were younger, and maybe even as an adult, you're afraid of the dark. Maybe you're simply afraid to try new things, whether it's new foods, new activities, meeting new people, and we're afraid of those things. Or we're afraid of the future. What is going to happen in the coming days, weeks, months, years? How am I going to make it in this life? What's going to be there for my kids, my grandkids? Or maybe it's the ultimate fear of death and dying and what happens after that. Not knowing what's going to take place. And those fears, they're real. And they impact our lives. But the passage we're going to look at today, 1 John chapter 4, the second part of verse 16 through verse 18, John addresses fear. And what we are supposed to lean into when we face these fears. 1 John chapter 4, starting at verse 16. He says, God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. This is how love is made complete among us, so that we will have confidence on the day of judgment. In this world, we are like Jesus. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. Now, last week, the few verses that we looked at in this letter, John talked about how we can know that we are in God, or God is in us, because he has given us his Spirit. We can trust in that Spirit because of the testimony that has been given by those who were with Jesus, and the testimony, our own testimony, of how God has worked in our lives. That it's important for us to confess, to acknowledge that Jesus is the Son of God, and once we confess that God lives in us by his Spirit. And we can know, and more than know, we can rely on God's love. That's just who he is. And in this section, John tells us, number one, God doesn't just love, he is love. Verse 16. He says, God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. And I want to start by asking, what words would you use to describe God? You know what he said just there, God is love. But we would say, God is all-powerful. He's all-knowing. He's holy. He's righteous. He's perfect. He's just. He's loving. Yes, that's one of his traits. He's loving. But John wants us to know that God is love. Unlike all those other traits that we can list about who God is, this love isn't just one of those things. The love that God has is his identity. It's who he is at his core. And that love, it's not an accessory to who God is. Love is his nature. And everything else is built on that foundation. So the God we serve, he is love. He's not just loving, he is love. That is the embodiment of all that he is, and everything he does comes from that place of love. The way he works in us and through us, the way we go through tests and trials and hard times, he's still working with us, but he's doing things out of his love for us. And John says that this love from God, when it grows and takes root in us, it does something surprising. Number 2, love made complete gives us boldness. Verse 17. He says, this is how love is made complete among us, so that we will have confidence on the day of judgment. In this world, we are like Jesus. So when love is made complete in us, I mean, think about this. When love is made complete in us, we can face the day of judgment with confidence, with boldness. So another question to ask you, what goes through your mind when thinking about the day of judgment? That day when we are no longer here. We are in the presence of God, standing before the judgment seat of Christ. What goes through our mind? Maybe you never think about it, but if you think about it right now, you're before God and he's going to judge you. Would you have confidence? Or would you have a knot in your stomach? I'd say a lot of us probably have that knot in our stomach. But why might we have fears? Why would those fears be there that day? What would be giving us that knot in our stomach? Well, we know our own track record. We know where we have fallen short. We know our faults and our failures. And because of that, I mean, we can look at ourselves and say, I'm not good enough. So Judgment Day begins to look more like a courtroom where we are going to be judged rather than a homecoming where we are going to be received into the presence of God. But John says that there is a way to face even that moment without fear, but with confidence and with boldness. How? He says, because in this world, we are like Jesus. Well, what does that even mean? We are like Jesus. It's not about perfection. We cannot be perfect. Jesus is the only one that's perfect. It's not about our performance. There aren't all these things that we have to do to impress God. It's all about love. And the way we do that in this world, we are like Jesus. We let the same love that defines who God is to be the love that defines us. Many of us, we carry a quiet fear that we haven't done enough. That goes through my mind quite a bit. We haven't done enough. We measure ourselves by this invisible bar that we assume we are falling short, that we have to achieve this level of success, this level of connection with God. But John isn't saying we have to hit that bar. What he's saying is that we need to have a relationship with God through Christ. A relationship where love, not performance or perfection, is what defines us. And as we grow in this love, John tells us, number 3, that perfect love drives out fear. Verse 18. He says, there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. So John says love, when it's allowed to grow within us, doesn't just quiet the fear or silence the fear, it pushes it out the door. It removes it from us. Love and fear, they're not supposed to be in that same space. One has to leave. And the way we get rid of fear is by filling our lives with love. And not just any love, but with God's love. And we need to think about, what are we really dealing with? This fear, why do we fear? Well, fear has to do with punishment. And the one who still is fearing the things of life isn't yet made perfect in love. So fear has to do with punishment. Fear often has that sense that we're going to be found out that we're going to be lacking. That people are going to realize he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That we're going to be judged by who we are, what we look like. That we're just going to be punished because we're not enough. And fear of that punishment shows up everywhere. Especially in our relationships. Our marriages, our friendships, our co-workers. Anywhere that if we are found out, if we fall short, that there's the fear of losing love, that connection, that relationship that we have with other people. I hope they don't find out, because then I will lose their love, their respect. And so that fear has to do with punishment. However, growing in love is often what loosens fear's grip. Think about it. Think about the fears that still have a grip on us. And these are some that I struggle with too. That fear of rejection. I don't want to be in a situation and be rejected. That's a fear that I have. The fear of being punished for doing something that maybe you weren't supposed to do. Maybe we have that fear of not being enough, not smart enough, not good enough, not spiritual enough, we haven't reached the proper level yet. And those fears are very common. And almost everyone carries around one of those fears with them. Even people that they have that appearance of confidence, they have it all put together, but behind closed doors, there are those fears that they have. But the truth of it all, the answer to our fear, it's not more effort. It's more love. Letting God's love shape how we see him. Letting God's love shape how we see ourselves. Letting God's love shape how we see the future. That we are placing all of our faith and trust and hope in him, because he is love. The reason he sent Christ into this world is because of his love. The reason he helps us day after day is his love. The reason why we go through some of the hardships of life is because of his love. He's teaching us, he's grooming us, he's building us up into the people that he wants us to be. So fearless love. What would change this week if you truly believe that love and not fear ran your life? That everything you did was based on love, not fear. Would you stop bracing for punishment? Waiting for the shoe to drop, the axe to fall, whatever, that we're going to face punishment because of our shortcomings? Or if we believe love ran our life, would we begin resting in God's love? Would we notice a fear that we've been struggling with and asking God to grow his love bigger than that fear? Would we extend the same kind of love that God gives to us to those who are still living under fear's roof? Showing them a little bit of what it looks like to live differently, to live in God's love. Because, as this passage says, God is love. He's not just loving, he is love itself. It's not a trait of his, it's his entire being. That's the core of who he is. God is love. And when that love grows complete in us, it does something fear can never do. That love can give us confidence instead of dread. Confidence to come into the presence of God. Confidence on that day of judgment when he separates those who know him and those who don't, and we can go with confidence knowing that he knows us because of his love, and we've accepted that love, we receive that love, we live in that love because of what Jesus did for us. And as love does its work within us, it will slowly and patiently push fear out the door. The fears that we face, that we'll be able to get past those fears because we are resting in the love of God. So I just want to end with two questions for you. Are you facing any fears today? Fear of being found out? Fear of the future? Fear of what comes after death? Fear of the judgment? Are you facing any of those fears? If so, lean into the love of God and receive the confidence that can overcome our fears. We cannot do it ourselves. We cannot strive hard enough to have that confidence. The confidence can only come when we rest, not when we strive. Resting in the love of God. Lean into that love today and receive the confidence to overcome your fears. And I want to thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful and blessed week, and I hope to see you again next time. God bless.